What's going on, guys? Hey, welcome to the show. We got a familiar guest here today, my brother the Novice Knows, and we are doing our game show shenanigans. But we have a different theme for you guys. As you guys know, I have started the Wheel of Fragrance, and now I'm starting to add some different aesthetic to them. So today we're doing the Wheel of Fragrance Job Edition. And I thought, who better to get than the Novice Knows? The man's got quite a collection of fragrance, and he's just a fun guy to chill with. We've become good friends for a while now. So before I introduce him, though, I just want to let you guys know kind of how we're going to run it. As you've seen before, we got the split screen going. We've got the fragrance wheel up so you guys can see it. And then occasionally, if I remember, because I'm going to be participating today, we will go to Fragrantica and pull up all that nerdy stuff for you guys so you can get some education along with the entertainment. But without further ado, Gator, go ahead and introduce yourself to the community, man.
Yo, what's going on, people? Fragrance family. This is your man Gator. Better knows than Novice knows out here in these fragrance streets. I am glad to be here, man. It is an honor to be affiliated with anything that you got going on right now, man. And I love these game shows. This is actually something that's fun. It actually kind of gets the juices flowing too, man. And I think it's educational for a lot of these people that are out here because, you might want to know what you might need to wear into the office on a rainy day where, there's 10 women coming in. It's just, we're not
If
going to
you're
get that
lucky.
specific, but yeah.
Hey, that's what's up. And we've got a ton of occupations here. I tried to make them super versatile. We got different incomes on these jobs, different environments, different use cases. And so a lot of these are going to be things that we on the fly have to just think of. And I try to bring so much versatility to it so we can really have a good time. And I also try to put the pictures with them as well, just to add to the entertainment and whatnot. But I'm excited to dive into this. The format that we're going to use for today is we're going to go back and forth. So Gator's going to be able to see when I spin, and we're each going to have 30 seconds when we get on a topic or on a job to go in our collection and rummage through and try to find the perfect fragrance for the scenario. We'll talk about it a little bit, try and educate on some different resources, and obviously smell tests and all that good stuff. You got any questions before we get cracking?
No, but I would like to tell everybody that's watching right now on the replay and everything like that, man, play along, man. I don't know, it might blow your comments up though, man. I don't want you sitting there and constantly trying to answer people when they're like, I would have chose a vintage right here.
Oh, listen, man. People are always
Everybody would
gonna
have chose
put
a vintage.
on my channel. People always get in the comments and let me know what they would have done. So I always
Right.
encourage it, man. And honestly, this game show is even educational for me. I get reminded of stuff in my collection because I'm from Arizona, so it's super hot. We're running through a lot of spring, summer, hot weather frags. And so even
Yeah.
just to get certain things on the wheel that open my bag up to the colder climate fragrances and stuff like that's always a good time. And then just seeing other people's collections. So it's just as much entertaining and educational for me as I know everybody will receive it. So it's always a good time, man, for all of us.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Definitely for me as well.
Awesome. Well, I've got some music queued up here as well. So we're going to try to make sure we get, even though we're freestyling, we're going to try to get the whole production value on point for you guys. And this is going to be an ever evolving thing. So without further ado, though, let's see what we can get cracking. Novice
All
Nose is
right.
going up first, man. You ready?
I am ready.
All right, we've got the wheel on the screen here. Follow along and let's do this.
This reminds me, I need to get some glasses. Uh,
I've got glasses. I just need to put them on. All right, so for our first selection, we have
ooh.
Mailman, and I've got the timer queued up right here in 3, 2, 1, go.
I got a good one for that one. Hold on here. Mailman, mailman. It's right here. Ah. Hey, hey. I'm back.
That was quick, man. I got it in 20 seconds, man. Ooh, is that vibrant?
Yes, yes. Yes, yes.
Talk to
I
us, man.
think,
What you got?
Man, I think this is probably the perfect scent, man, for a mailman because number one, if you're riding around in that truck all day, you got that door open. This is a beautifully invigorating type of fragrance to have. It's gonna consistently start wafting up on you. This was surprisingly long lasting too. This is Vibrant Vetiver Delight, by the way, guys. Vetiver Delight is inspiration of Ball de Freak, man, from Byredo, and it's a very good one too. It's almost like a you hear people describe it as like a lemon lime soda type thing,
Mm-hmm.
like a Sprite, and I could see that a lot. But I think it has a little bit more of that vetiver quality when it gets into the dry down than people give it credit, give it credit for. It's like a clean kind of candy type of vetiver though. It's not a
Mm,
super crisp vetiver. I think the
right.
Byredo is a little crisper than that. But this one is something that is just a pleasant scent to be wearing, man. It does when you spray it on, it makes you happy. It's one of those happy scents. So I
Mm-hmm.
think as a mailman, and then the other thing about this one is that it's one of those fragrances that kind of has enough lasting power to where
It
you can
does.
spray it on and as long as you put it on clothes and if you're out there sweating in that heat or whatever, it can gotta go all day, man.
And I'll tell you this much, Vibrant Vetiver Delight, man. It's one of those fragrances for me that when I put it on, I didn't think that it had longevity because it's very
Yeah.
it's like secretly a discreet bomb. So I was like,
Yeah.
you don't really get a lot of like projection, but it does have crazy sillage. But when you sit with it for a long enough time and you start wafting, then all of a sudden
Yeah.
it just comes out of nowhere and smacks you. It's like, nah, I'm gonna be here the whole shift, bro. Like, just sit back.
Right.
So,
Right.
but I
It is
also
surprisingly long lasting.
so
That's why I was like, it really will hit you.
per
Like
yeah. No,
before you
I
know it, you're like, wait a
completely
minute, it's 10 hours?
agree. Yeah, no, and like what you said about it being both like the type of vetiver is clean candied. I think that like it describes it to a T because it's vetiver, but at the same time, it doesn't have that earthy vetiver bite. It is like very
Right.
doused in that kind of, but it's like a pleasant synthetic candy almost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like sugar bomby candied. It's just like lightly sweet, almost like the candy's been sitting out on the table, like Skittles when they sit out on the table for a couple days or something. It's just got that like bright light, but
Yeah.
still pungent though, but clean as well. You get both elements like equally. So I think that's a perfect description of that fragrance. But I like that for the mailman, man. And it's like
Oh,
it's super versatile. Like it's not
yeah.
abrasive or anything. Like when you walk to the door, it might take a second or two, then you catch the waft and you're like, "Oh wow, like that's really pleasant." What'd you eat? You know what I'm saying? So,
Right, exactly. And if you're sitting in that truck by yourself, man, you want something that's gonna be pleasant, man. It's gonna and like I said, it wafts. It's one of those you pass by somebody, or you come to deliver a package to the door, they're gonna smell you. As soon as you walk away, it's like, wait a minute.
I almost feel like it increases in projection over time.
It does. It does, man. But, when I wore it this summer, man, I was out in the heat, and I was surprised at how much it actually started projecting when I went back out into the heat it was like I must have been like 7 or 8 hours into the workday. I was leaving, going home, and I walked outside, and it's almost like it reactivated
Mm.
when it got in that heat, man, and it was pushing. It was definitely pushing, man. So yeah, it's a good one. I love it.
I love when I would say like as I've been messing with vetiver for a while, I typically prefer, earthy, clean, soapy. I prefer all that stuff, dark. But you got to appreciate this vetiver because it takes a earthy concept and makes it playful. That contrast
Yeah.
is what makes it mass appealing. Where people who love vetiver still can super appreciate it. It's reminiscent, but then it adds that playful element to it, which I feel makes it really ageless. It contrasts like kind of two polarizing kind of aged profiles. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
And it's just so
It's
nice.
not the Encre Noir extreme type of
Hmm. Right,
vetiver, but it
right.
is something that I think is an entry point of vetiver for a lot of people who may not have gotten into vetiver fragrances yet.
Absolutely. And another thing I want to mention for you guys is, even though I didn't pull it up on Fragrantica, that fragrance you can typically find for somewhere between the $20 and $30 price point. It's kind of confusing with
Yeah.
Amir fragrances because you'll see it say Paris Corner, you'll see it say Amir. Sometimes they switch them
Yeah.
around. If you search Amir Vibrant Vetiver Delight or Paris Corner Vibrant Vetiver Delight, it will pop up. And I can guarantee that it'll be on sites like fragrancebuy.ca. Probably the cheapest there, but it's definitely a fan favorite in the vetiver category. So if you're new to vetiver and you've heard of it, it's one of those fragrances. I feel like it's kind of like Terre d'Hermès with a little less like mystery. I think Terre d'Hermès kind of sometimes gets thrown in like the unique category, whereas this, because it's so
Yeah.
reminiscent of that lemon lime soda, it's Terre d'Hermès even more commercial than Terre d'Hermès is. So
Right. Right.
absolutely phenomenal choice there. So that was the first round for Mailman. I'm going to go ahead and get in the hot seat, and let's go ahead and
Oh yeah.
spin for round number 2.
Let's see what we got on this spin here. All right, so the wheel has spun. Farmer, okay, now this one, I am interested to see what you got on this one, man.
Oh, and I got it for you. Trust me. You ready?
I am ready for this one. Let me see what you got. Farmer is an interesting one, man, because you got somebody who's probably outside all day. Someone who is probably getting dirty, or they have to deal with that heat, sweaty conditions, earthy conditions. All right, let's see what you got here, man.
Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all, man. I copped out because we had just spoke about it, but it immediately made me think of just that farmer who's been farming his entire life. He's in his late 20s, 30 and up at least. And I have the sample over here, but I have the bottle of the sport version, so we're just going to pretend like this is the actual version. I did go with Ancre Noir's a la Extreme. When we talk about vetiver and the rendition of it being more earthy, woody, some people compare it to like hay, that hay straw type of vibe. This is a fragrance that I feel is perfect for this scenario. There we go. Ancre Noir a la Extreme. And I would say out of the entire Ancre Noir trio, a la Extreme gets the least amount of love. Because it's more of the higher age category. I feel it's more serious. It deals with resins and woods. For those reasons, a lot of people don't give it a fair shot. But I also think the main reason is just out of pure use case. A lot of times you come across a fragrance that you like in the air, but you don't necessarily know where it would fit in your use case. And that's what I think. When we talk about farmers being outside, you're wafting, you're mixing with the elements. A lot of people aren't in that type of scenario. You might be outside, but then, I'm not going to wear a la Extreme at the pool. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be, this is perfect for the farmer. What you have is this is compared to a kind of wood shavings near a fireplace type of vibe. It's warm, it's woody. I would say it's fairly dry, but it is resinous. So you will get that kind of like almost like a ambery but hyper woody, sappy type of, it's almost like if you took wood shavings and you burned it and they turned into embers, kind of when the fire is almost done but it's still hot, but you like burned like a cedar or an oak or something like that. That's exactly what this smells like, but ramped up in freshness. But it's kind of almost, I don't want to say dark, but it's like it's not bright either. It's it in a very odd way is both fresh and dark. It's like not dark as in dark just in the sense of vibe. This is a very kind of seductive but mysterious, but also super earthy and brash and edgy type of vibe. But I think in a nutshell, it's most commonly referred to as kind of like the wood shavings type of fragrance. But it is pungent, it's potent. You will immediately know when you've smelled this. And I do like the variation of it because it's so earthy. You know what I'm saying? That it's a quality, unique rendition of vetiver that you just don't see often anymore. So many people play it safe with vetiver, and Encre Noir, though it's just as unique and just as special, it's a completely different type of DNA than something like this. This is for a man's man. This is a by the fireplace. This is an air
Yeah.
wafting outside type of fragrance. I think you might be able to pull it off for a date night if you're outdoors. And some people indoors maybe, but I think because it doesn't have as much sweetness to it, you kind of got to play it by what the event is. But nonetheless, it's special in the vetiver
It is.
category. And so for that, I give it a lot of love. Again, this is Encre Noir's a la Extreme. And another beautiful thing, it's another vetiver, beautiful high-end type of perfumery that you can get for $20 to $30, and it is not a clone or a dupe. And that is another main reason why the Encre Noir trio gets so much love, because it's so special but so affordable. And yeah, so that's that. You have any comments on the fragrance?
Well, I love what you said about that, man, and I completely agree. And I think one of the things that I would say is that this isn't even as much as what a farmer wears as it is the embodiment of the farmer. That
Yeah.
that ruggedness, that sensibility, but strength. When you're wearing this stuff, man. And if you ever wear it, and like you were just saying, man, this is like a $30 like banger that you can get, online, man. And when you wear it, it is definitely for the mature. It is not like I'm gonna do this and head to Club 21.
Right.
This
Right.
is this is definitely for the mature crowd, man. But it says distinguished. It says this person is about business when you smell that on them. So
Yeah. And another thing I'll say is, in a very odd way, this fragrance reminds me of like a Abercrombie and Fitch Fierce without the sweetness.
mm,
It's like a super dry, highly more masculine version. It's Abercrombie and Fitch Fierce without the sweetness for the 35 and up category.
oh yeah,
And also just remember, we're not talking farmer like Farmer Joe type of, old school guy. I put the picture here for a reason. This is a not an old man, but a wise grown man farmer that is doing his thing, and the women are looking at him, and he's walking in the door, and he's got that kind of cowboy appeal. So
this is Kevin Costner, Yellowstone.
Yes, 100%. Honestly, it could be anyone from Yellowstone would wear. The whole cast of men in Yellowstone are wearing this, and they're sharing the bottle. In fact, you might even say that if you were like a clean man, like you're very hygienic, but you're also a cowboy, you might naturally smell like a fragrance like this without even putting it on. What this does to that kind of straw, hay, woodsy, dry, warm environment, the resin note is what kind of gives it that ambery, super slightly sweet, like 5-10% flair that gives it the charm that people look for when they try to wear this. So super slept on fragrance. If you've had your nose on a lot of stuff, you can appreciate how different this is. And if you can find a use case for it, it will be a showstopper. Like, no one else is going to smell like you.
No.
For sure. All right, man. You ready for round 3? You're up.
I am ready.
Take that hot seat. Let's do it.
All right. Let's see what I got here.
Oh, man. This is great.
Gymnast.
A male gymnast. Clock's up right now. 3, 2, 1, go.
This is interesting. I actually think I have one ready for this one. Hold on. Just something a little bit invigorating. Yeah. But I can't decide which one. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with both.
5, 4, 3, 2,
all right,
and 1. All right, man. What you got for us?
All right, man. I had to decide between three.
Okay.
And I am actually going to, because the gymnast could be male or female, I'm going to go with two.
Okay.
And both of them are, well, one of them specifically male. This is that new Mont Blanc Legend. This is Mont Blanc Legend Blue.
Mm.
Okay. And what you're getting with this is you're getting something that's going to be pretty. It's another invigorating one. It's got a mint note in there. It's lavender. It's clean. It's fresh. It's something that you definitely. It has a nice little scent trail behind it. It's something that I could see a gymnast where it's just like it gives this proper kind of like trim, proper type of vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think of a male gymnast, that's what I'm thinking about. Uh, now, and I actually sent you a sample. I think of this one, man. This one for a man or a woman. This is completely unisex, and I don't know what happened to the cap on this one, man. This is Lolita Limpica Green Lover.
Mm.
Okay, so Limpica Green Lover, it's got a nice kind of like a powdery vibe to it. It's also got kind of a mint vibe to it, but it's got some citruses in there that kind of bring. It smells like a creamsicle.
You know
It,
what?
like it
The way you're
smells like a
describing it,
fresh.
I'm taking it out the package and I'm putting this on a test
Yeah,
strip.
yeah. Put it on a test strip because you'll see what I'm talking about. It's got this creamsicle kind of vibe. It's almost slightly boozy in a way,
It is.
but it's got this creamsicle kind of vibe, man, and it's
It's
a
like
fun
creamsicle light.
fragrance.
It's like creamsicle light with a touch of maybe like um Fugeri like
Yeah,
shaving cream, but like sweeter. What's the fragrance from Bentley? Bentley Intense Man. It has
yeah.
almost like a little bit of that sweet booze, but like 50% toned down. This is much more, I feel, uh, less playful, but still there. It's like, is
Right.
this unisex or is this a male fragrance?
So this is actually unisex. Now I see it marketed online both ways. I see it
Okay.
marketed online to men, and then I've also been on sites where it says for women. So it's really interesting. But I think a man I look, when
I
I'm
think it
going
leans
out
masculine. I'm
somewhere,
gonna be honest with you, slightly masculine, just slightly.
yeah. Yeah. I like rocking this thing, man, because it leaves this scent trail that's just it's different. Like I said, you have this creamsicle type of vibe to it. To when you walk by, the sillage on this stuff is insane. When
Mm.
you walk by, man,
I'm gonna be
and it
honest.
doesn't have.
I feel like it's creamsicle, but in the scent trail, you get hit with this kind of almost just a green note.
Yeah,
It's almost like I'm almost smelling a light touch of like a vibrant vetiver delighty kind of slight candied green on the back end of
yes,
this.
yeah, definitely, man, definitely. And I think what it is this. It's got some juniper berry in here. So
Mm.
that juniper berry is playing around in there, man, and giving it a little bit of that candied effect. But like I
Mm-hmm.
said, almost like a boozy effect. Like when you first spray it on, that booziness hits you from that juniper berry.
Yeah,
It
it's
definitely
sweet.
hits you, and it dissipates a little bit into the dry down, and you start getting a little bit more of that vanilla that's coming
Mm-hmm.
out, and it becomes more prominent. But it still keeps that playful mode to it.
Yeah,
I can
it's got a
still,
unique quality of being both fresh and slightly synthetic-y playful. But I think the
yeah,
four major players here is like it's got to be like juniper, vanilla, um, orange,
yeah.
and then green for lack of a better word. It's got a kind of like candied green to it.
Yeah, it's a mint, and I think gosh, I can't remember the notes. I know mint is one of them though,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what's kind of really contributed to that greenness of it.
Yeah, I would call this like something a little bit more upscale with from Freshie with charm. It's
Yeah,
fresh, it's charming, but it's also unique. It's
yes,
because of that uniqueness. It moves into the signature category a little bit. Where now it's like not only are you fresh and it's got charm to it, but now it's like
mhm,
what is he wearing? When you have to get to that point, that's when I feel you've got that signature where somebody's got to just know where you were going with it. But I think,
and
man, it's nice.
I've had both women and men ask that question.
Nice.
You know,
Nice.
just like what are you what is that? You know, and that's usually the sign of a fragrance that's making an impact on people. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when you're walking by and a guy taps you on the shoulder and it's like, hey, what you wearing, man?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's
And
usually a
and
good
that
one.
that's beautiful. Like the conversation starters. I think this fragrance, even though it's so unique, it's just tugging on your nose with so many familiar notes, like the freshness of it, the
Mhm.
candiedness of it, the vanilla, the orange. You're like, dang, like what actually is that? You almost question
Right.
if you're smelling somebody or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Yeah.
it's really
Right.
nice. That's an amazing frag. I appreciate you for sending that to me. For those of y'all who don't know, Novice Nose sent me basically a library of samples that I'm going to be cracking open all this week and getting new episodes to you guys. So you can thank him for allowing me to go another couple of months with some new frags before I got to put in another order. But beautiful, man.
And I don't
Hey.
know if I got this one to you, by the way. The Legend Blue. I'm not sure if it was in. I think this one came after I sent that package, but I'll probably
Mm-hmm.
send this one to you too, just so you can see what I'm saying. It's got that mint and that lavender. This is like that step away from Fougere,
Mm-hmm.
but it's got a uniqueness to it. Like it's a blue. It's a simple blue,
How is
but
it
there's
compared to
something
standard
about it.
Mont Blanc Black?
I feel like this one has more appeal. It's got this, like I said, it's got that mint note in it that I feel like it makes it a little bit different. It carries a little bit more um, of a freshness
Mm-hmm.
going. It's almost like it. If lavender's fresh on its own, it's almost like that mint is there and it accentuates it
Mm-hmm.
even more
Yeah, it steps it up.
than in the black.
Gotcha.
This
Because
one's
black's
more of an
quite light,
outside
I would say.
brown.
Nice, man. All right, well, I want to try to get like two more rounds in for sure.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm having a good time, man. I'm gonna cue the music up. Is it my turn?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, without further ado, let's spin.
Oh, while it's spinning, man, guys, you can find this probably about $20, $25. That Lita Lampica Green Lover.
For 100 ml?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, we got CEO, man.
Oh man. All right. So CEO is an interesting one because are you the lax CEO? Are you the about business CEO? Like, what type of CEO are you in this particular scenario? The guy on the picture looks like Van Jones from CNN. Just FYI, or just randomly saying that. Excuse me. Let's see. I think I'm supposed to be counting now. I'll give it to 10, 9, 8, 7,
All right,
6.
man.
All right.
Hey,
What
listen,
you got,
guys.
man?
Listen, man. There were fragrances that would have made me politically correct, but I don't care. I'm giving you guys a designer and I'm giving you guys a clone.
That
Because
works.
when I think of these fragrances, I think of the CEO I want to be, not one who I would run into.
Yeah.
Let's talk about first designer. This is described as the most no-brainer, high-end office fragrance, but I'm going to tell you why it belongs in CEO category. It is a staple in FragCom. It is made by a perfumer who is notorious for upscale, unique blends. And to me, even though it's not a beast mode fragrance, this is the CEO you're going to ask. You're not going to ask for his number if you're a lady. You're going to write your number on the napkin with your lipstick and slide it near his desk when you walk by.
Yeah.
And it's a very easy go-to, guys, but I feel like because it's such a common household name in FragCom, it truly doesn't, and because this house has so many special fragrances that kind of outdo it in terms of the layering, it still will forever to me go in top 3 of all time. This is from the house of Tom Ford, and this is Grey Vetiver.
Ah, great vetiver, man. Hey,
Um,
look, it doesn't get much better than that one.
when
It
we,
really doesn't.
dude, when we talk about vetiver in the most rich and sophisticated showcase. Gray vetiver has to be in your top 3, I feel, for vetiver.
Yeah.
It even though people say it's a great office fragrance, to me the reality is you're not going to find many people in the office wearing gray
No.
vetiver at all because it's an upscale fragrance. Most people haven't even heard of gray vetiver because most people aren't in fragcom. You know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
common man has never heard of gray vetiver, and the common man probably represents about 70% of the population. So if you
Oh
walk
yeah.
around in gray vetiver in the office, you have maybe a 1 in a million chance of ever smelling it on anybody else in your office and in any office you walk into, because even though even the people that would know of this fragrance probably would go to something more beast mode, but when you talk about universal, strong, super signature, super fresh, you smell a suit and tie with this, but you don't just smell
Yeah.
a guy in a blazer. This is not a blazer fragrance to me.
No. No.
This is, you know, your the lawyer who you had to pay $1 million to beat the case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is highly upscale, and it is just, man, I can't say enough about this fragrance. One of the most beautiful handlings of vetiver. I think the parfum is just immaculate in
Yeah.
comparison, but nonetheless, even if you got the eau de parfum, I just, gray vetiver, when I smelt it, it really spoke to me as who, like, it just, to my character and my personality. I just, you, and again, with Tom Ford, you always smell class, you smell sophistication, you smell
Oh yeah.
signature with just about everything you come across. Even if you don't like it, you just respect the perfumery. And Tom Ford's fragrances, aside from, you know, like your vanillic fragrances, you know, and stuff like that, you're always excited to put your nose on
Oh yeah.
anything Tom Ford, because you know you're going to go on a scent trail, you're going to go on an adventure, you might smell something you never smelled before. You know, I think of stuff like Black Orchid. Even if you're not a Black Orchid
Yeah.
fan, you are a fan of, you're like, oh man, the orchids I've smelled don't smell like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
definitely finer things in life type of fragrance, and I think it's absolutely spectacular. Before we break this fragrance down on your take, for those of you who need a fragrance that is much cheaper but will get the job done, and honestly, I feel like it's top 3 of my favorite clone fragrances of all time as of right now. This is a fragrance that I like to tell people is a combination between suit and tie and falling from heaven's gates. When you smell this fragrance, it raises your head to the sky. It smells heavenly, but it also smells super clean, super rich, masculine to me. And I think the original doesn't get as much love as the clone, simply because what they did here is they added a slight touch of sweetness that I think is what the OG lacked. This is cloning Ganymede, and it is
Yeah.
Paris Corner Amir's Celestial.
Celestial. Yeah, man. I was
What we're Dude, what we're talking about here is the freshest cut of clean suede. I love the suede note because you don't have to deal with animalic leather. You don't have to deal with rough and tough brashness, manly cowboy. No, this is like the freshest cut of clean suede, almost new car smelly, but way more earthy.
yeah.
You're dealing with mineral notes, so almost like Tom Ford Oud Woody vibes. But then what really ties it all together, which Ganymede lacks because Ganymede leans heavy on the earthiness, this takes it to heaven with the floral note of violet leaf.
Yeah.
It's got a sweet, slightly powdery violet leaf that smells so natural and so effortless. So you've got fresh, clean cut suede, which is almost like man vibes, but
Yeah.
super clean and well done, almost similar to the cleanliness of Gray Vetiver.
Yeah.
But then you've got the heavenly earthiness where it's earthy, but it's not earthy soil. It's earthy sky vibes.
Yeah.
Because it's just so
Ozonic.
ozonic. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then that violet leaf just comes forth with such a beautiful, real sweetness from florals. And I think honestly, for people who shy away from florals because they feel they might be too feminine, the counterbalance of the suede and the earthiness is like the perfect balance of what you want in a fragrance. Highly masculine, but slight touch of sweetness for that charm, that allure. So where you're not just like outer realm, like it has a not
Right.
coziness, but seductive CEO vibes. So again, you
Yeah.
can get this fragrance for like 20-30 bucks on Fragrance by CA, 100 ml. I would buy 5 bottles of this, no question, and I would probably go in the top 3 best friend of all time to anyone who I gave it to. So we have Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver, Amir Celestial from Paris Corner. Any
Yeah.
thoughts?
So I will say this. I love that. Well, first off, let me go back to Grey Vetiver. Grey Vetiver is one of those fragrances, and I don't have a whole lot to say about it. That you already broke that thing down. Grey Vetiver is one of those fragrances that you can't dress down. You know,
Mm.
I tell people all the time, you know, I will wear certain fragrances. I'll break out the house in Virtus Vanilla Oud and a t-shirt, you know,
Right.
and jeans, you know, and everything, and I'm cool with it. You can't do that with Grey Vetiver. Grey Vetiver is one of those fragrances that you have to wear the uniform.
You got to
You
look the
have
part.
to have the part going. Yeah, exactly. You know, and if you do not dress the part, it doesn't even work right. You
You
know,
try to
it's
wear jeans and you try to go jeans and nice shoes and then put a blazer on and try to look somewhat semi-formal. You will look like a goofball wearing
yeah,
Grey Vetiver.
yeah,
They're gonna look at you and say, "I know you only have a travel spray."
right, right,
You know what I'm
right,
saying? Like,
right.
you just can't. It screams of prestige, masculinity, sophistication, wealth.
Yeah,
I don't even care if it's financial wealth. It screams of wisdom. It screams of signature. You just it takes you
yeah,
to a VIP suite office space, not just the cubicle, not just, oh, you got an award this year for highest sales, so they gave you the slightly
yeah,
better office that came with the door. No, this is prestige. This is upscale.
right. If you walk in with the jeans and the blazer, that common uniform that a lot of business people use right now, and you're wearing Grey Vetiver, they're gonna look at you and be like, "He's a wannabe,"
Yep. Yeah, they're gonna
because
say they're gonna say
because
not yet, buddy.
right. Exactly. Exactly. Celestial, man, Ganymede's such a great fragrance, man, and I think that the violet leaf I feel like in Celestial may be slightly dialed up a little bit from Ganymede, and
Hmm.
but that's not a bad thing. I think that's actually a good thing in that it gives it, like you were saying, like that earthy, almost like more ozonic type of
Hmm.
vibe to it, man. And I think it's a beautiful fragrance, man. I really do. I
Yeah,
think it's
and
great.
I think a great comparison for this, even though DNA wise it's not even close, the contrast you would find between something like Nishane's Hasavat and like Aventus
Yeah.
is kind of the difference between Amir Celestial and Ganymede, where people appreciate Hasavat for the earthiness from the oak moss, and it just takes it out of humanly and just gives you like such a rich appreciation for earthy vibes, and it adds to the sophistication. I think
Yeah.
older men appreciate more what Hasavat does, even though Aventus is a great
Yeah.
fragrance. The layering and sophistication is a little bit more commercial and toned down in Aventus. Even though it smells rich and just as pristine, it lacks the earthy quality. It leans more fruity.
Yeah.
So I think in the
Yeah.
same way, Amir Celestial is the more commercial, more wearable version, even though fragrance heads would appreciate the earthiness and the sophistication that that dimension adds to that DNA
Yeah.
with Ganymede. They're both great fragrances, but you appreciate them in different use cases and for different characteristics.
Exactly, man. And then there's one other one, and I keep going back to that little package I sent you. I sent you this in that package. And the reason I'm bringing that up is this is
Mm.
Mancera's Amberful.
Yep.
And the reason I'm bringing it up is because they're comparing this thing to Ganymede a lot. as
Mm,
far as that. So by default, comparing it to Celestial, in that sense. When you smell this fragrance, they're distant cousins, but you can see where the qualities are kind of the same. You may have it right now, as a
I
matter of
do.
fact.
I'm looking
You
at
might
all
have
of them
just
right
pulled it
now.
out.
I'm gonna smell it. I
Uh,
mean, you
oh
spoke on
yeah.
it.
This is gonna be one of those that in the next few years, people are gonna look back at this one and be like, "Oh, that was actually a
Oh
pretty
shoot.
nice." Yeah,
Yo, they did that. They
they
did
did
that
it.
with this. Wow. It's almost a little, it's got a touch of a little more like of a spiciness to it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's probably
yeah.
the only difference though. I mean, this smells like what Celestial is doing, but they add this spice note
Exactly.
and is slightly less sweet than Celestial, but sweeter than Ganymede.
Right. So what they're doing in this one, they're using that pink pepper. Instead of
Mm.
going into the mineral notes like the Ganymede and Celestial, what they're doing is they're using this pink pepper and nutmeg combo in this thing, and they're using the violet leaf because this has violet in it too. They're using that violet leaf to kind of push it up and make it a little bit more airy and almost emulate that same feel that you're getting with the Ganymede and the Celestial DNA.
Wow.
But because it's that pepper in there, it comes across a little bit more spicy, um, a little bit more earthy in a
Mm-hmm.
way. And this one's a little bit more citric too. You get a
Mm.
little bit more of that citrus in there too.
You do.
But as this thing dries down, you start that violet leaf starts kicking up, a little bit of the wood starts coming in, that cedar, and
Uh-huh.
starts really kind of making its presence known, and it kind of differs from celestial a little
Mm.
bit. But I'll tell you, this was gonna be one they talk about as far as like that same vibe that a celestial gives or
Yeah.
that a Ganymede gives. This is gonna be one that people look at probably a couple years ago and they put them in the same category.
It has to. I mean, that's just a beautiful fragrance, and it's that with a slight twist. But I think you get everything you wanted from Ganymede and more. That's an awesome fragrance. I appreciate you for sending that. For those of you guys who wanted to know, Celestial again at the $20-$30 price point on like a
Yeah.
fragrance buy. Gray Vetiver you can probably get anywhere between like I would say comfortably $80 to $150, just depending on
Yeah.
where you go. It's nice to go on like Facebook communities. A lot of people might be selling a gray vetiver with a little bit of juice gone, just because they're not in an office all the time or something. Just use case wise, you can get a nice steal on it. But I think on a great day on discounters, you might find it in the $100 price point, maybe a little north of that after tax.
Those guys who were selling it are the guys who had that blazer and jeans on, and they
Yeah,
realized
yeah, yeah. They said they found me. They found me. I got to get rid of this. Oh, perfect,
exactly.
man. All right, hey, listen, we're at the 42-minute mark, and I don't want to stop anytime soon, but I want to give the algorithm a little bit of a rest. So I'm gonna do one more round on
Oh
Gator
yeah, you got it,
to
man.
close us out, and then we're gonna wrap up, man. So you ready?
Oh yeah.
All right, let's get it. I also intentionally put so many jobs on here so that we could run this back many times.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. The last one is going to be spa worker.
Oh.
I don't care if you're the masseuse. You're definitely not at the front counter if you're a guy. You're getting her ready for her massage, whatever you need. 30 seconds, go.
I got this one, man. This one was actually pretty easy. Hold on. All right, let's see. Yep, this one was easy. All
All
right.
right. Let's see what you got for us.
All right, man. So, gotta go with this guy, man.
Ooh.
Brioni Eclat. Man, so this one is one that when you think of like serene, and actually honorable mention would have been this one, the Celerio Elysium.
Mm-hmm.
But when you smell this fragrance, you get
Which
that
version
top.
is that?
This is the Eclat.
But is it Parfum Intense Parfum or Eau de Parfum?
It's gonna be the Brioni Eau de Parfum Eclat. This the third one down. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're gonna get this nice little tart grapefruit at the top, and it makes you think it's not a hard grapefruit though. It's really soft. When I think about this fragrance, I think about something that is really calming, even though you've got a citric note in it. And a lot of times when you get citric notes, you think something that's going to kind of get invigorating and stuff. But what it does actually, man, is it gives this kind of calming sense. And I really think it's the rose. There's rose in here, and then I think it's the sandalwood as well that kind of gives it that little bit of like creamy, like in the dry down, that little creaminess. It's really soft, really mellow. It is, a beautiful like it gives you this vibe of serenity
Mm,
when you spray it on, man. This is one that I tell people you could dress up and dress down for this
okay.
particular one, man.
Where can they find it?
So with this one, Old Faithfuls, man, fragrancebuyer.ca. The Joma Shop usually has it in stock as well too. It's somewhere in that range of about $60 for this particular fragrance, man. I did my best to not go with Vetiver Sensual on this
Ooh. Ooh.
because that would have been, but we had mentioned Vetiver so many
So much.
times.
Yeah, we look like fanboys.
That I was like, no, I'm not gonna do better for Central. I'm not gonna do it. But this is that same type of like that calming effect when you're wearing this, man. It's got this really nice, like I said, that rose note, and that rose note just wafts to it. When you're in a room with somebody that's wearing this, it gives this kind of like serene vibe to everything that's going on in the room. That's why I had to go with this one.
Is it more clean than it is sweet?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely more clean, man. It doesn't really have much sweetness at all to it. As a matter of fact, that grapefruit at the top, even though it's not a super tart, hard tart grapefruit, it's not a sweet grapefruit either.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of
It's
almost
more
like
riny.
you're yeah, yeah. But it's soft.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a softer version of that rininess. It's not like you're smelling it directly from the rind. It's almost like somebody took that grapefruit, squeezed it on a piece of paper, waved it around, and then let you smell it
Okay, so it's
before,
got an airiness
so you're
to
not.
it.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of airiness to that grapefruit.
Awesome. And you said you can get that for about 60 bucks, 100 ml?
Yeah, yeah, I get about 60 for 100 ml on this one, man. I love Briones, man. This one, I can't wait for the Brioni Intense in the fall. They make some good quality juices, man, and this is right up, like I said, this is right up. If you want something that's gonna be calm and serene, this will be right up your alley.
Awesome. Hey, listen, man. I think we came with some killers tonight.
Oh yeah, man, definitely, definitely. We can play this game again
Oh,
because this
oh,
one
we
is.
are. We are. We will. Trust me.
you
I'm
know,
I'm looking to add like 100 total options to every category. For those who don't know, I have 3 different wheels of fragrance currently, all kind of, we can still get our rocks off and show a lot of different fragrances, but I think so many people don't talk about use case enough. And I think use case really matters in terms of why you pick a fragrance. We could talk about
right?
DNAs and structure and composition and all in that all day, but until you can actually tie that all to a scenario, it's lifeless. So I really like changing the conversation slightly to different categories. Like for instance, with jobs today, it's a specific purpose of what that person is trying to do, who that person is around, what type of vibe you're going for. If you're trying to start a conversation, scent trail, sillage and stuff, when you need it, when you want to be beast mode, all that stuff, it changes slightly in the work environment. But I think we went through such a range tonight that you could see that there's still like uniqueness in all those use cases. You're not just walking
Oh
around
yeah.
everywhere wearing Legends Spirit and calling it a day. We're doing a little bit more than that. So, again, I appreciate you, Novice Knows, for being on. Guys, make sure you go and check out his channel, The Novice Knows. He's got a lot of great reels and also long form content in the fragrance space. You're going to be exposed to a lot of fragrances you've never put your nose to, and you're just going to have a
Oh yeah.
library of content to get from this man. I really appreciate having you on here. Again, for those of you who don't know me, I represent a channel called The Scent Bubble. And I mainly document my fragrance journey and try to educate and give you guys as many resources as possible
Mhm.
as I pick them up. But I also like to add entertainment value that I feel is not really out there in FragCom. So you get a little bit of everything going on my channel. And I'm always tuning in to Novice Knows to get the latest and greatest. And I just think he's just a natural when it comes to being entertaining and educational with the frag space. So any last words for the people out there, man?
Man, I all I can say is never be afraid to kind of test those boundaries, man. I let you smell that Lolita Lampica Green Lover.
Hmm.
That's one of those fragrances that when you hear the name, you're like, oh, I don't know, but when you wear it, it gives you this vibe of, like you smelled it. It's
Yeah,
kind of like this masculine, clean, but it's different. Never
yeah.
be afraid to be different. Never be afraid to wear something that, somebody, if your nose likes it and your nose thinks it's great, hey, try it out. See what it does, man.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times with fragrance, what you smell in the air versus what you put on skin changes everything, because then you get to
Yeah.
have a unique experience. And also, let's be real, guys. Like, there's so many safe fragrance chemistries out there that I think people forget that the beauty of a unique signature fragrance is in the nuance and fine line walking between things
Yeah.
like sweet and earthy and sophisticated and dark and mysterious. And so, because of that, you have to put your nose on everything to see where in that line you fit personality wise and to see the use case. And I think there's something so beautiful when you put on a fragrance that you weren't quite drawn to, or that you were skeptical of, but then it just fits and works for you, and you're like, wow, this is my fragrance. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people
Yeah.
might look at something like Gray Vetiver, for instance, to say, you know what, too simple for me, clean, soapy, it's not very signature. Other people might wear it and just be absolutely wowed. There's still people to this day that put their nose to Club de Nuit, Intense Man, and Creed Aventus, fragrances that in FragCom people are so over it in FragCom. They're always going to mention it, but they only mention it nowadays because people are still searching for it and they got to
Right.
keep their channel views up. So, but nonetheless, there's a reason why people are still putting their nose to those fragrances these days and being absolutely floored in amazement. And so never let FragCom and fragrance channels kind of make the decision for you. And also, don't be afraid to, if you have even the slightest intrigue to a fragrance, put it on, wear it a couple days. If you get
Yeah.
laughed at or people question it or whatever, give yourself that use case, and you might find that your fragrance collection gets a lot more unique and a lot more useful,
Yeah.
and you don't just have fragrances sitting on your shelf that you're sitting in a corner in your room at night just
Exactly.
huffing up and losing
Exactly.
sleep.
Exactly. Never be afraid to get samples, man, and take those samples and go. I've got like if you were to look at the camera, like on the other side of the camera here, I've literally got like I could count maybe 10, 15 different little decants of different things that are here. And it's literally so I can test them out and wear them. And some of the stuff is kind of unique. Some of it's, um, Cartier Noir de Noir.
Right.
Everybody said that that smells like crap, but for some reason it's alluring to me. you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
and the more I wear it, the more alluring it is. I wore it to a function a few weeks back, and people were like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." Sometimes, it takes your own experimentation with a fragrance, man.
Yeah. Some
So never
people
be afraid
smell
to
like
wear it.
crap. Some people smell like crap with a fragrance that you absolutely knock it out the park with,
Yeah,
Not everybody doesn't smell the same with the same fragrances. And that's just an
exactly.
absolute fact. So, but nonetheless, man, I appreciate you for being on. Again, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let us know what fragrances you had. If you've heard of any of these fragrances, if you want to know where to pick them up, we're happy to repeat any kind of resourceful information in the comments, and just interact with all you guys out there in FragCom from beginner to expert. Again, this is the Novice Knows. Check him out on YouTube. I am the Scent Bubble, and we always appreciate you guys for rocking with us, enjoying that long form content that we love providing. So again, appreciate you guys. And until next time, be blessed. We're signing out.
He's out.